In this section, I'm going to go over the MACD. I'm going to talk about how we can apply it with the other two indicators that we just went over, and how the more we add, the stronger our predictions start to get. And this one is just as simple as the last two. In fact, this one is probably more simple than divergence. R sign divergence is probably the most complicated thing I'm going over today. So everything else I'm going to go over from here is a lot easier. So MACD stands for moving average convergence divergence. So that's a mouthful. What does that mean? Moving average basically just takes the average of the last amount of candlesticks. So it could be the last 10 candlesticks, you take the average of that. It could be the last 20 candlesticks, you can take the average of that. So that's what a moving average is. Convergence means that price and the oscillator are agreeing with each other, or they're both going up, they're both going down. And divergence that we just went over is mean they're disagreeing with each other, or they're diverging from each other. So it's basically taking all the concepts we just went over, like overbought, oversold, divergence. It puts it all into one. However, it's a lot easier to use, especially with application for this strategy. This strategy doesn't require advanced usage of the MACD. We just have to learn the crossover. So MACD is a trend following momentum indicator that displays the current trend. Here's what it looks like. You basically can ignore the histogram in the back or those little bars in the background. They do have a purpose, but you don't need to know that for this strategy. And in fact, I very rarely use them myself, but I do know that there are traders out there that have very much success with them. But just for this example, the strategy we're going over, we're going to focus on those two moving averages. So we can see right here, this is called a bullish crossover. We can see that the blue line rises above the red line, telling us that price is now in an uptrend. So it was previously in a downtrend, the crossover occurred, and now we're in a possible uptrend. And then up here, we have a bearish crossover. We can see the blue line going below the red line instead of above it, indicating that price has moved from an uptrend now to a downtrend. So we can see on the chart, right as the bullish crossover occurred, we see price shot up a lot. And again, we can see how it's kind of similar to how with the Bollinger Band, if it's oversold, it's a good time to buy, or with RSI, if it's oversold, it's a good time to buy. And this is just the same thing. So you can kind of see how we're just trying to make sure all these confirmations that we know are lining up. And here's an example of a sell. We can see a bearish crossover right here, and right as the bearish crossover occurred, price just started falling down, very much like the Bollinger Band or the RSI. Boom. So that's basically it for the MACD. Like I said, it's super, super simple. We're just looking for these crossovers. That's it. We're just looking for bearish crossover or bullish crossover. That's it for the MACD. So the next thing we go over is stochastic. And this is actually the last indicator I'm going to go over before I bring back out the web analyzer and try to find some examples.